Welcome back to the channel. If you're looking for a lightweight, efficient moto camp setup, then stay tuned because I've got some unique ideas for you. So this video will be split into three main sections. First, the base, the luggage setup itself. We need to know what kind of space we're working with in order to not overpack. Second will be a dive into the gear and equipment that I use. And third will be how I pack everything to be weighted properly on the bike here. So grab your drink of choice, settle in, and let's get started. All right, so for the luggage setup, I'm using the Tusk excursion system. That's from Rocky Mountain ATV, which is going to be two 15-ish liter side bags. Touch on that here in a second. A 22-liter top bag, and then two 1-liter bottle holders as well for an approximate total of about 52 liters, give or take. So as far as install on the bike, it uses a set of 4 straps to keep everything secure to the mounting points, and it also has 2 more straps to keep the side bags from moving around too much, and I'll show some close-ups of that so you can see that detail as well. As a whole, the system is pretty good, especially for the price. The main downside of this kit is that it doesn't truly hold 15 liters in the side bags, more like 10 or 12. The area around the top of the side bags has extra stitching on it and doesn't flex at all, so you can't really get in there and fill the whole space of the side bag, unfortunately. I then also have the Tusk 22-liter dry bag on top here, and that's Velcroed to the base. I also use a set of rock straps to secure that to the base plate, so it's actually secure because I don't trust just using the Velcro that it comes with. And then I will usually run my Giant Loop Fandango tank bag as well for most trips, and that will hold camera gear, bike papers, a multi-tool tire gauge, bottle opener, snacks, stickers for the channel, and other small but easily accessible items. I've done a separate video already on this tank bag, and I'll put the link in the video description below. And also links for the gear will be below in the description as well. If you're interested in some of those items, they may be available down there as well. If you have questions about this luggage setup, then leave them down in the comments and I will get back to you. All right, so now it's time for the exciting stuff. We're gonna talk about the gear that I use. I'm gonna start with the tool roll, as that is always ready to go and it's the easiest to pack right away. This is the Moto Pinner tool roll. Now I have an in-depth video where I go over every item that is in here. It is a Touareg specific kit, so if you're interested in that, I will link the video in the description. The next item is going to be the tent that I use. I've been using the REI Quarter Dome 1. It's the one-person tent from them for a long time. And if you use the Rainfly on this, you also get a small vestibule area that you can use to keep boots outside and still keep them dry or anything else you want to keep out there. I found that the size has not been an issue for me, although if you are a little bit bigger, it's probably going to be a little bit too small inside for you and you might want to opt for the 2-person one. Now, if the site that I'm camping at, if I know that it has trees suitable for a hammock setup, then I will do that and I'll run a hammock setup instead. So the next trip that I do where I can hammock, I'll bring you along with that trip so I can show you how I set all that stuff up as well. Next up here is going to be the sleeping quilt. This is the Pariah, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, Thermodown 15-degree quilt. I used to do a mummy style sleeping bag, but I found them to be a bit too constrictive of like movement and stuff when you're trying to sleep. And so I switched to this down quilt style here, and also packs up smaller than my mummy style 30-degree bag. So it's warmer and it saves us space when I pack. And I used it for the first time just the other day to try it out, and it was awesome. Highly recommend a sleeping quilt. Next up here is a sleeping pad. So you're more than likely going to want to use a sleeping pad unless you love sleeping on the bare cold ground. I've been using the REI Flash insulated air pad for a long time now, and it's worked out quite well. It's got an R value of 3.7, so it has some good insulation. It's warm enough for pretty cold nights. Relatively comfortable, and it holds air all through the night. For me, I haven't had any issues with this one. So before I move on to the next section, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support of the channel. It's been really nice to have a lot of engagement in the comment section as well. So if you are enjoying the content, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. Okay, so on to the next item. And this is the last one for the kind of sleep and shelter system. And this is the pillow that I use. This is the Sea to Summit Eros pillow, the premium one. And just like with the sleeping pad, I've had this for many years and it works very well and takes up little space and it doesn't weigh anything. So moving on from the shelter and sleep system, let's talk food and food prep. Now I'll normally use the fire pit at a campsite to cook, but if a site does not have a fire pit, then I will use this firebox stove here. It's a bit heavier than just using a fuel canister style, but I prefer more sustainable fire, not having to rely on fuel canisters or buying more when you run out. I've used them in the past and they work great. I just prefer a wood fire. As far as lighting the fire, I do carry matches, some sort of fire starter like dryer lint, and a ferro rod. And then to prep wood for kindling, I use this Baco folding saw here. Works great. And then to further prep the wood, then I use this SE PR4 to break it down even further. I also use that for other kind of miscellaneous camp tasks and everything. It's a fantastic knife, and I love the way it looks as well. For the cooking pot, I'm using this Tusk titanium one that I got off of Amazon. So super lightweight, has a handle and a lid and everything, so it works really good. For a small frying pan, I use this Snow Peak titanium frying pan. It's small, but it does the job, especially if you're just doing solo camps, then it's perfectly fine. I normally also carry a collapsible Sea to Summit cup, a titanium spork, a really thin cutting board like this one, so you can just kind of stick it wherever in your luggage. And then I also use this Opinel number 7 as my little food prep knife. So nice, great sharp knife there. And then to clean everything up, once you're done cooking and doing all that, I just have this little 4-ounce bottle of Dr. Bronner's Castile soap and the peppermint scent, just so it makes everything smell nice. But yeah, it's a nice biodegradable soap that you can use wherever, and it's going to be fine. Okay, so how about lighting? It really sucks when it's dark at camp and you have no way to see what you're doing. So I carry a few different light sources with me. First is a Black Diamond Storm headlamp. I've been using this one for many years and it's done the job well. It has a low and high modes. It also has the red or green light option. So that works really well. Next, I do carry a Black Diamond mini lantern that I can stick inside the tent. So you have light in there. And then the third one is this mini Streamlight 66604 micro stream that I normally keep in my tank bag. This is a rechargeable model and it weighs absolutely nothing and it still puts out some decent light. So those are my light sources. Okay, let's talk about water. I do carry a 2-liter Hydro Pack in my jacket while I'm riding. And then I also have this giant loop 1-gallon water bladder. It has a spout on the bottom of it so you can easily access water without having to open and pour out huge amounts at a time. This has been extremely helpful on trips and is very robust. If you're thinking of more ways to bring water on trips, I definitely recommend that. On trips where water sources are questionable, I would also bring either a collapsible Katadyn water bottle with the filter inside or one of the Sawyer minis. All right, time for the miscellaneous items. Comfort. What do I bring for comfort at camp? A chair. More specifically, the Helinox ground chair. It's very lightweight, doesn't weigh anything, and it's nice and quick to set up. So yeah, great chair, definitely recommend. Toiletries. Toiletries and first aid go in this zipper pouch here. There's a separate mesh pocket in here as well that I use to house the fire starting items. I combine a few things into this one zipper pouch so that it can save space in the packs here by not having a ton of separate little bags that you're trying to find little spaces for to cram them in. It just works better in just one thing here. I also carry about 50 feet of paracord, either to hang up drying clothes or to use it as an extra tie down on the tent for super windy days. So it's always a good idea to keep some paracord around. I do also carry a small packable backpack. This one is from Amazon, and it is the 4 Monster 16 liter bag. It's water resistant as well, and it only weighs 3.7 ounces. I carry an extra backpack so that before arriving to camp, I'm able to stop for some food and drink, and I'll have somewhere to put it. Also, if I'm doing some hiking at the park, then this is what I'll use as a day pack for those hikes. So for charging, I'm using this Anker 10,000 milliamp power bank. I've always had good experiences with Anker, and this is one of the lighter power banks that I could find. Some other things. Sometimes I'll bring with me a small flask, some scotch or some Irish whiskey. Just depends on the trip, if I'm feeling it. And then I think the last miscellaneous item that I normally carry is this rain leaf microfiber towel. This is really handy to dry off after a dip in the lake or a shower. And it dries rather quickly, so you don't have to wait for it to dry before packing up and heading out to the next camp. Now, as far as clothing goes, it depends on the time of year and where the trip is at. But having said that, I'll give you a rundown of what I normally pack with me here. So a packable puffy jacket, a sleep shirt and shorts and socks that I use just for sleeping, a base layer shirt for riding, something that's not cotton. Cotton soaks up the sweat and doesn't breathe well enough for a base layer. So something that's either polyester or merino wool. I bring 2 pairs of merino wool boxer briefs. If your trip is multiple days, you can always just wash and dry a pair while you use the other one. And it saves pack space by only bringing 2. Don't pack underwear as if you're going to shit yourself every day. Okay? A pair of shorts for around camp are generally the same ones that I'll sleep in. And then a pair of barefoot style shoes or sandals for around camp or hikes as well. And then I normally keep all of the clothes just in these Sea to Summit dry bags, so you don't have to worry about them getting wet if it rains on you or anything like that. And then you can also use these as washing bags too. If you put some of that Dr. Bronner's and water in here, throw your clothes in here, give it a good shake, rinse them off, then you have clean clothes. All right, so packing the bike. Where am I putting all of this stuff on the bike to optimize the weight and keep the handling characteristics as true as you can with all the luggage on the back? So when packing, you have to think about how the weight will affect the bike's handling. So you want your heavier items to be lower down and further forward. So starting on the left side of the bike, so opposite the exhaust side, is going to be the tool roll, the firebox, my pillow, my cook kit, and the toiletries bag. All right, and then on the right side bag, or the exhaust side, we're going to have the tent, the sleeping pad, the backpack, so I can kind of jam it in there and it fits nice, and then my shoes or sandals or whatever I'm bringing for footwear for the camp. It doesn't seem like a whole lot on that side, but the tent does take up quite a bit of space, and so does the air mattress. So at some point I might upgrade those, but they've worked fine for a long time, so I'm just going to leave them for now. And then also, like I said earlier, with the Tusk side bags, they don't allow you to really use the full 15 liters because of that extra stitching on top. So you can't really get in there to put more stuff in there, unfortunately. So this is really all that fits in that right side. All right, so in the top bag is going to be the chair, the sleeping bag, which obviously goes in a compression sack to fit in there, the tent poles, because they will not fit in the side bags, whatever clothes I bring go in that top one as well. And then the cutting board, because it can usually just get slid on top there. So I forgot to mention these Sea to Summit dry bags. These are 4 liters, so they're pretty small. They make a bunch of different sizes, but yeah, I like the 4 liter. I don't pack much in the way of clothes, so this works for me. All right, so the last storage options that I have with that Tusk kit is the 2 small water bottle bags. So in one of those, I keep the folding saw and the knife. And in the other one, I keep the paracord, the headlamp, and the towel. Now, if I'm on a trip where I'm going to need some more fuel, because there's not enough fuel stops in between the mileage and everything, then I can easily just kind of shift some of this stuff around and then use the bottle holders for the fuel bottles as well. So there is room to play in this setup that I have a little bit to kind of mix and match stuff so that you can still fit a couple fuel bottles as well if you need them. So that's it. That is my setup for moto camping. There's a few things here and there that I would like to change out in the future, but this setup has worked pretty well so far. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.